goes. While we're out looking for a proper ash tree to make a bow out of, thought it would be important to show you what a poor one would be. You can read the wood inside the tree by the bark, and if the pattern of the bark twists around the tree, the wood will twist too. You don't want that for splitting up a bow. You want the corduroy of the bark to go straight as an arrow. And this one here, I think you can see, and maybe when we put the different angle, you can see it twist.
Yeah, like Brian was pointing out, if you look, the grain just does a... It's hard to really see it if you're not looking at the tree, but it does this. The grain actually does this all the way up. And that gives it that corkscrew type grain that you don't want.
This is a white ash tree that's kind of unusual because it's got these, it's referred to as cat faces all over it. They might be young burls or what, but that would probably, the formation of the grain would probably go right to the core with some swirly pattern.
Yeah.
And
so that would render it useless for like straight shaft tools and axes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
This when you see this, that means that that grain is not going to work for you.
So this is a nice piece of ash. It's a good size. You know, you want your log to be at least 10 inches in diameter because you're going to want to take off not only the bark but the sap wood, because the sap wood on ash is brittle and can't be trusted. So you got to get down to some of the older wood inside.
It's more towards the center of the tree.
Yeah.
Yep.
By using a larger tree, you also have to deal with the tree when it was a baby. It had limbs and things that when it was only so tall, and as the tree grew up, those limbs died and fell off and then healed and grew around it. So you need a piece of wood that is thick enough that, you're getting rid of your sap wood and you're getting rid of the part that has the little knots that would create problems. These are the little knots that when the tree was a baby, you know, they would die eventually and fall off, and then the tree would heal around. You get this nice straight clean grain that don't have no effects from the knots. You'll see this, that kind of wave in the grain. It shows a little well, what it does is it shows the healing of the knots as it grew.
Yep.
But it also, to me, tells me that that's the top of the tree, and this would be the bottom as it grew. And hardwood, you always want to split from the top to the bottom. So
okay. The sapwood is right under the bark.
Yeah. Each year it grows a new layer. So each year it also puts a layer into storage, so to speak.
Gotcha.
And the pieces that it puts into storage, it actually treats with a rot-resistant chemical or whatever it is, but it prevents the centers from getting rotten. Some trees are deficient in that, and that's when you find a hollow tree, and the only part of that tree that's solid is the living sap wood. So you want the wood that's been preserved with that, you know, treated by itself, and it's stronger and will last better. And I believe the sap wood on ash in particular is brittle. I've made bows before I understood that, and they do break. So we're going to try and split this down the center from the top end of the log. The thing about this particular piece of wood is if it wasn't for the center, what they call the pith of the log, I would want to center my cut right there. But knowing ash, like I do, I'm going to put it on the pith and count on it going where it belongs. Oh, here we go.
It's pretty straight.
Now, once the crack is made by the throw, set a wedge. I split this originally. All I did was put one wedge in it, and then I hit it with a splitting maul and popped in half.
Nice and pretty straight. Wow.
There it is. Smell it. It smells good.
So as you can see, that's a good, beautiful straight grain. Once we get that broken down again.
This wave
Yep.
will most likely, most of it will disappear once we get this center core piece off of it. I'm going to split the quarter in half. When you're splitting the stuff, you always want an equal amount of mass on either side so that there's no weak spot. A split is like energy and will go the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start your split, say, off center, that makes this weaker, the side, if it's a thinner side, and that split will travel off to the side. You'll end up with a long tapered nothingness. So I'm going to try to guesstimate about center mass. It's not always the center of the piece, but it is center mass. Yeah. All right, so again,
Get your frow started, and
that ensures a nice straight line.
and again, that's a frow.
Yes, this is a frow club. Starting to travel a little bit more than I like.
Yep.
All right, quartering a log is generally a pretty good chance you're going to get it straight. Splitting the quarters, you can run into trouble. And this is starting to wander, going off to this side. So if I continue splitting it, it'll taper right off to nothing. But hoping by weakening the side, the thicker side.
That is amazing how you do that, because by doing that, taking meat or material off this side, that line that was going off, let's say to the right, is going to turn left
We hope.
and go back to the center. I've seen it. You can even save when you're actually getting it right down to the nitty gritty of the bow. You can still turn a grain.
Yep. If it was a smaller piece of wood and I could do it, I could grab the end and pull and put a little tension here.
Mm-hmm.
That'll bring it over too. When you're using an axe like this, always try to imagine sticking it in your leg. Because if you imagine sticking it in your leg, you'll be careful not to stick it in your leg.
And see that? That crack went right back to center.
That's good. I don't think it'll take completely off anyway. I'm measuring the stave that we've got here. I'm looking for a 6-foot bow. We're at 6'9" it is, so I'm just going to take and cut the thinner end off as it's split. And take the bark off. Then I'll split the heartwood off. Him off first. Get down to the wood before we worry about taking the sapwood off. It's pokey. Split off the heartwood. Get that out of the way. I'm going to pick a place that I hope will run either straight or veer off towards the heart and not damage the outer part. And this is a good place to keep an axe handy also. So far it looks like it's going pretty good. will.
You're just twisting that fro,
Yeah.
and that is so far so good.
I think I'll start from the other end. Of course, when you're setting the blade of the fro in, you want to actually lay it into a grain.
So it's natural.
Yeah, so you're not cutting through two different layers of grain, but just through one.
Yeah.
Oh, see, it started to jump into the wrong way.
Now you're gonna, once again, we're gonna take some off that. We're actually chopping into the heart, which would have been the center of the tree, but it's gonna bring that crack right back to the towards the center of the tree, which is what we're hoping to achieve.
Yeah. Now we're overlapped the crack that we made initially, and that too will help. Here, let me have it down.
You got it.
We've got our stave roughed out. We're going to get rid of the sapwood we were talking about earlier in there.
Yep.
Sapwood is shit. So I jumped almost immediately, and that's hardly worth my effort. So never mind.
That's why we get rid of the sapwood.
Yeah.
That's the most
the
Achilles heel of the wood.
Yeah. And these lines here represent the different layers of grain that are building up. Once we get the whole thing roughly there, then we'll go back and we'll go to the lowest one that we can find here, which would probably be this one, and we'll chase that all the way down so that we have one even grain.
Pretty simple. Basically, this is a tillering stick.